Let's make sure the live stream is going well. It doesn't show me. Okay, there we go. Testing 1, 2. Alright, let's do this. It's about time I finished it. Or continued. Barely even really got into the game last time I checked. Like, yeah. Like 8 minutes in. Alright, let's do this. Alright, recap. Okabe, our protagonist, has PTSD flashbacks about murdering the woman he loves. Gives up on trying to mess with time because it always ends up fucking him over. And now he's in college, instead of trying to save the world. And... oh yeah, that's pretty much the full recap. Let's do it. Ah, and the lolly has to explain to herself that she's a lot older than she looks. Irritated, she pulled a card out of her jacket. It was one of the IDs given out to the invited guests. Her name and the name of her workplace were written on the front. Victor Condria University, USA Brain Science Institute. You get trophies for learning. Lovely. I looked at the card, then at her, then back at the card, then I looked at her again. I finally realized. Oh. She sighed and showed me another card. This one was a photo ID from Victor Condria University. It was the same ID I'd seen Kurisu holding before on another world line. The photo on the card? Yeah. That was definitely her. Maho? I'm gonna butcher that last night if I try to do it. Hiajo, okay. I'm gonna love this on running gag. Alright. Unlike in Japan, it wasn't uncommon for Americans to skip grades. Kurisu had made it to university at age 17. But still, a girl this young, working in a university lab? The girl, Maho Hiajo, pointed to the part of the ID with her slender fingers. Don't know why they gotta emphasize the fingers. She was born in 1989, and it was 2010, so... Oh god. Oh god, the memes. No. No, not 21. They cared. And then she puffed out her chest. There wasn't much to see. Oh my god. But I can imagine her saying they look better when I'm not wearing gloves. They're huge! Holy shit. Oh god. What? The legal age is 20. Hmm. Still, the Brain Science Institute? That's where Kurisu worked. Which means this this person might know a lot about Kurisu. I held back the impulse to start badgering her with questions. I looked at the pamphlet with the seminar schedules. Victor Kanji's lecture was the last one for the day, and was clearly intended to be the biggest. Was this Maho Hiajo girl going to give a lecture? Just like Kurisu had done at the summer convention. No, wait. That's wrong. That never happened. Kurisu Makase never gave any lectures over the summer. That happened in the Alpha world line. The world line I inhabited now. Before the summer convention, she'd already. I looked at the pamphlet again and saw that the lecturer was a man named Alexis Liskinen. Liskinen? Sure. Alexis Liskinen. A professor at Victor Kandja University and the chief researcher of the Brain Science Institute. I led Maho over to the elevator hall and showed her where the staff room was. I had no reason to hang around her any further. I said goodbye and was just about to turn around. Just then, the elevator opened. A woman emerged. The instant I saw her face, every hair on my body stood on end. Moeka. Kuryu. It was all I could do to keep myself from screaming. Calm down. This is the Beta world line. Mayuri is alive. Moeka's not going to kill her. Our eyes met. The eyes on the other side of her glasses were as dead as ever, and it was impossible to tell what she was thinking. I frantically averted my gaze before she realized something was wrong. She tilted her head for a second, but quickly lost interest in me. Turned toward Maho. Even in this world line, Mocha still only spoke in faint whispers. The two of them disappeared into the staff room. As I watched them leave, I took a deep breath. I tried to calm down, but it wasn't working. It was a terrible feeling, like a cold finger tracing the wounds in my heart. That night, when the terrorist threat shut down all the trains in Akihabara. That awful night, when I just knew something was going to happen. Or was I just imagining things? Was she just a magazine reporter now, instead of a CERN rounder? For any of you that are interested, take a pause. No. Even if Mooka was a rounder, we had nothing to do with CERN anymore. CERN wouldn't be watching us. I took another deep breath, grabbed some of my anxiety meds in my pocket, and swallowed them down with some mineral water I'd bought ahead of time. It would take 15 minutes for them to kick in. Those 15 minutes were always pretty rough. I laughed at myself a little and sat down on one of the reception's desk's chairs. The table was filled with leaflets, pamphlets, and other things for the attendees. Huh? Well, hold on. I feel like I got a message. What is that? There's gotta be something I'm missing here. Oh, wait, no! No! What did I do? I pressed L1. Okay. Things going with. Oh, I really shouldn't worry my bestie at this point. Yeah, no problem. Okay. Put the phone away. Oh, I gotta. Okay. Neat. Alrighty. Back to the topic at hand, or the main story at hand. Nakabachi theory and the genealogy of pseudoscience. The P's probably fucking silent. Pseudoscience. Pseudoscience? This pamphlet was for Professor Izaki's seminar. Nakabachi theory. The paper he'd announced in Russia. That paper held the key to creating a real time machine. On that day, July 28th, Nakabachi had stolen the paper from Kurisu, his own daughter, and left with it. I knew that. Only Nakabachi and I knew that. I flipped through the pamphlet as a brief introduction to the many forms of pseudoscience and fake scientific discoveries that had emerged since the start of the 20th century. On its own, it did make for interesting reading. And at the end of the pamphlet, Nakabachi theory was introduced as nothing more than another entry in that long list of fakes. So, Dr. Nakabachi's time machine theory had been completely ignored by the academic world. All the glory Fame and power he'd wanted so badly that he was willing to get rid of his own daughter. He didn't get any of it. And I'd heard rumors that after the announcement, he'd been imprisoned in a Russian lab. To make it even funnier, he thought he was getting VIP treatment. For a short time, there were essays and interviews in bogus academic journals. Even there, it was obvious it had all gone to his head. The ironic thing was that Nakabachi theory was completely correct and completely revolutionary. The Russian government was worried about it leaking, and the SVR was doing everything it could to keep it under wraps. Let's check the SVR out. For all y'all that are interested in the things, alright. But, under the surface, there was a full-scale information war beginning over the paper. The time traveler from 2036, John Teeter, had told me so, which meant it had to be true. Was World War III really going to happen? There was no point in thinking about it. Just a little more before the drugs kicked in. I closed my eyes. Several hours later, the convention was going well. After Professor Izaki's seminar, most of the students from my university went home. But I killed some time, came back. I wanted to hear the Victor Condria lecture. Gotta get some water. Alrighty. I headed to the hall with plenty of time to spare and saw Maho Hiajo come from the staff room. She was with a very tall foreigner. Was that Alexis Leskinen? It didn't seem like an American name, but maybe he was an immigrant like Kurisu. Or at least descended from one. I didn't mean to eavesdrop, but the looks on their faces were so serious that I couldn't help but listen. Since they were both speaking in English, I could barely make out any of it, but I could tell from their voices that it wasn't a pleasant chat. Wait, did I just hear the word makase? I hated the fact that I couldn't speak English. Right there with you, man. Well, I hate the fact that I'm not bilingual, actually. I just don't have an affinity with other languages. Alright. If I'd known this was going to happen, I would have gone to an English school. The two of them walked into the waiting room for lectures. It was located right next to the UPX theater. I put together the few fragments I was able to understand. Fire at Kurisu House. Miss Makase is alright. Robbery. The police called off the investigation. How was the FBI there? Doesn't make sense. FBI? I'm sure most of you know what the FBI is. I think that's what they were saying. Kurisu's house. Do they mean where she lived in America? Her mother would still live in America. Is that where the fire was? Then words like robbery. The investigation was called off. I really wanted to know more. I stood there and worried until it was time for the lecture to begin. With nothing else to do, I went inside the theater. I could tell earlier by looking at the size of the crowd what was going inside, but it was a very high-energy crowd. The atmosphere is clearly different than Izaki's seminar, which was mostly students there for credit. The place was nearly with a full crowd of scientists and people who want to learn about cutting-edge technology. Victor Condria's researchers had published a slate of papers in Science recently, and had gotten a lot of attention from the media. Maybe that's why. Were there any open seats? Found a single open seat at the edge. Oh, that's convenient. But when I looked at who was sitting next to it, I moaned. Of course. You again. Moeka Kiryu was there. She was speaking to no one, just typing endlessly into her phone. I'd once named her Shining Finger because of her incredible typing speed, and she was as fast as ever. Who was she talking to? I didn't even want to imagine. I quickly turned away and looked for another seat. Dr. Liskinen reached the podium almost the exact instant I sat down. There was a huge wave of applause, but when they saw the tiny little girl come up next to him, the applaud faded into confused murmurs. Oh my god, I feel so bad. Maho must have expected this. Her expression didn't change in the slightest as she stood next to the professor. In fact, when she took the microphone from the professor and looked around the theater, she looked like she belonged there. First, Dr. Liskinen began to speak in English. When he made eye contact with Maho, she began to interpret. The audience started murmuring again. That was the same way I responded when I met her. Well, that'll happen, yeah. Sorry to cut you all off. Alright. Dr. Liskinen stood in front of the laptop that had been placed on the podium, started to type. One of the staffers was about to display the laptop screen on the front projector. Some kind of important program must have been booting up. Because of Maho, he'll just stop them. There was another projector in the center of the stage. A diagram appeared on its screen, and at the top of the program was a Japanese translation for the general audience. Temporal cortex. Do that. E. An analysis of neural pulse signals relating to memories stored in the temporal lobe. I knew that title well. In fact, I was sure I could never forget it. It was the title of an essay written by a 17-year-old genius and published in Science. She had completely analyzed the nerve impulse patterns that governed the human memory and used that to digitize the memories that themselves into data. And she had used that to invent the time leap machine right in front of my eyes. Though none of that had actually happened anymore.
記録されます。いわゆるフラッシュメモリみたいなもの。そのメモリに記憶を書き込んだり読み出したりするのが側頭葉にある海馬傍回という部位になります。
Oh. Well, this is gonna be a bit of a long one. Oh, what? Oh. Okay, apparently it's not letting me scroll through the note. It's telling me I could scroll through, I think. Whatever. Dr. Liskinen pointed to the diagrams of the brain, and they literally just pronounced this. What the f... And I'm gonna look this up real quick. It's not gonna tell me how to pronounce it. Okay, hippocampus on the screen. Yep, we're gonna pretend that's exactly how you pronounce it. Okay.
記憶というのも実はこういった電気信号の伝わりの一つなのです。その働きを制御しているのが海馬傍回と言ってもいいでしょう。つまり電気信号が海馬傍回を出入りすることで記憶は作られていくんですね。そこでマキセ・クリスはこの論文を書いた日本人研究者です。マキセ研究員は考えました。海馬傍回を通る電気信号が電気信号のパターンと大脳皮質の
Maho started to have trouble with her interpreting. She was getting confused. No matter how good you are with languages, interpreting for a long period of time had to be difficult. I'd once read an article on the internet that said even a professional can't do it for more than 20 minutes. International conferences and live broadcasts from overseas were actually handled by a team of people switching off. Or maybe... was she having trouble because Kurisu's name came up? Dr. Liskinen saw she was having trouble and cut himself off.
すみません。マキセ研究員は海馬傍回を出入りする電気信号のパターンに着目しました。そのパターンが大脳皮質のどの記憶と対応しているのか解析を行って完全なデータを得たのです。これによって記憶という曖昧でアナログなものを電気信号のパターンの組み合わせというデジタルなものに変換する基礎理論が確立されたのです。これがサイエンス誌に掲載された彼女の論文です。そして現在私たちのチームはその理論をもとに人間の記憶をデジタルデータとして取得するシステムを開発しています。
A wave of whispers swept across the theater.
それはすなわち人間の記憶をコンピューターに保存しそれを活用するシステムということになります。
The whispers turned into a low roar. I see. So even after her death, Kurisu's research was being carried on. Of course. Maybe it was natural that it would be. That was the basic theory for time leaping, which I had proved myself, even if I could never prove it to anyone else in the Alpha World line. My memories had been turned into data and stored on a computer. There was no doubt about that. And what Dr. Liskinen was talking about right now was the basic technology required for that process.
現在、私たちが行っているプロジェクトは主に2つです。1つは医療分野への応用です。
The slide on the projector changed.
こちらは精神生理学研究所と共同で行っているプロジェクトです。
Say what?
コンピューターに保存した記憶データを会話妨害を通して再び元の脳に書き戻すというもので、
Someone who looked like a grad student in the front row shouted. Dr. Liskinen didn't seem particularly put off by the interruption. Maho continued her interpretation.
信じがたいですか。その気持ちは理解できます。私も皆さんの立場であればそう言ったでしょう。しかしこの研究に私たちは手応えを感じています。
It's just here. Is his voice sped
こ
up?
れが実用化できればどんなに素晴らしいことでしょう。例えば老化による記憶障害、あとはアルツハイマーなどそうしたものへの対処療法が期待できます。患者の記憶をデータとして自動的にバックアップしていくのです。
That'd be awesome.
記憶が失われたとしてもその都度 PC にアクセスし脳内にデータを再インストールすることが可能です。それによって忘却の進行を食い止められるのではないか、私たちはそう考えています。最終的には会話妨害から PC 内の記憶データに常時アクセスできるようになるでしょう。 そうすれば
What's up, Angel?
脳機能が失われた状態、
Yeah, we was planning on inviting you,
脳
well,
が激しく損傷したり萎縮してしまった場合などですが、
yeah, we was planning on inviting you to the party, but we saw that you were offline. Yeah. But, yeah, sit back and enjoy the show, fam. Any questions? Go ahead and tap it out.
そのような状態でも変わらず脳機能を維持できます。あたかも外部ストレージと同じように。
Like a USB. A strange feeling gripped the hall. Part of it was shock, and the feeling that they were witnessing the announcement of an incredible technology. Part of it was skepticism, that a system like this could ever actually work. Part of it was revulsion at the idea of playing around with a human brain like that. An excitement born of all these things passed from one member of the crowds to another. Dr. Liskinen raised his hand to encourage questioners.
どうやら2つ目のプロジェクトをお話しする前に質問を受け付けないといけないようですね。できる範囲でお答えします。どうぞ。
Many hands were raised. I could tell that there was a wide age range of people interested. Both young and old were raising their hands. Dr. Liskinen pointed to a questioner. This was the first question. Sampling would be required when sup, bro. When digitizing analog memories. Does that mean any information would be lost? Professor nodded as he listened to the question in Japanese and began to respond in English when the speaker finished. What's up, fam? Yeah, finally got around to doing another thing of this. Yee. Maybe he was able to understand Japanese. If not, speak it.
その質問を言い換えると、オーケストラの生演奏を WAV のデータに保存する際、生演奏のすべてを完璧に記録することはできないと。確かにその懸念はあります。現在の研究で最も困難な問題の一つです。脳内のネットワークが神経伝達物質のオンオフだけで、つまり 二進数的にデータのやり取りをしているのであれば簡単な問題でした。それはデジタルデータと同じことだからです。しかし実際には伝達物質や電気信号は脳内でアナログ的に変化することが分かっています。この問題に関しては今のところより高いサンプリングレートでデータをサンプルする方法しか手段を持っていません。音楽の話で言えば 44.1kHz よりも 48kHz、 48kHz よりも
Oh my god.
98kHz でサンプリングするといった具合です。
Is it gonna be an ongoing joke with everybody just, you know, questioning her? Oh, it's gonna be amazing. Many lulls are ahead.
それによってデジタルでありながらアナログデータに近い情報を得ようとしています。
Little by little, the mood in the room was turning to disappointment. People were beginning to wonder if this was just a pretty theory that wouldn't work in reality. More questions came. All of the questionnaires were skeptical of the professor's theory, and many of them seemed to be outright challenging him. I started to get upset. This was Dr. Laskinen's research, but it was also Carissa's. I knew better than anyone that it worked, and the sight of so many people refusing to give it a chance infuriated me. Were these people really scientists? I tried to keep myself under control, and looked back towards the podium. Was she mad? She certainly looked disappointed. Dr. Laskinen was very polite with the rude questioners, acknowledging the problems with the theory. She was very different. Her anger was starting to seep into her interpreting too. I felt a kind of kinship with her. The question and answer session continued.
サイエンス誌に掲載されたあの論文も読みましたが、にわかには信じられない。ましてや、筆頭著者が若干17歳の女性だったとあっては。
That was the one thing I couldn't ignore.
あなたね。あ
That fucking... Hold on, I'm gonna take a picture of this shit. Hold on, I gotta save it. Okay, nah, I just needed a screenshot of that fake face. Okay. The two people on the stage and the entire audience all turned toward me at once.
やってみもしないで何がわかるって言うんだ。最初は無理だと思われてた技術なんてこの世にいくらでもあるじゃないか。でもそれを克服した研究者がいたからこそ今があるんだろう。ただ批判するだけじゃ何も生まれない。
The whole theater went silent, but I didn't regret standing up.
あなた
On the stage, Maho Hyajo was staring at me in shock. And as for Dr. Laskinen, it's cool, man. Nice of you to drop by, man. Yeah, I'm just live streaming a little visual novel. Yeah, nah, it's cool. Alright, get you later, man. Deuces. saw a flash of white teeth as our eyes met.
He's wearing something.
He started to applaud. Well, how was he applauding? That just makes things embarrassing.
素晴らしい。彼はなかなか大したやつだ。ですって。
Maho translated the professor's words for me to hear.
ただし、科学者たるもの常に冷静でなければいけない。大声で怒鳴っていいのは実験が成功した時の We did it それだけで十分だそうですよ。
すみません。
Oh, later, man. I lowered my head and sat down. I thought I was calm, but I guess I let my emotions get away from me. I hadn't grown up at all in the past 6 months. If Kurisu was here, she'd make fun of me again. I could feel the rest of the audience staring at me coldly. It hurt. If I could have left, I would have wanted to. I was too interested in hearing the rest of Dr. Liskinen's talk to move on.
それでは皆さん、そろそろ次に。でも、その前に勇敢な彼に拍手をお願いします。
Oh no. Please no.
彼のような挑戦者こそが科学を進歩させ、あっと驚くような理論を作り上げるのです。 彼ならきっと第3のアインシュタインになれるかもしれませんね。ちなみに第2のアインシュタインはここにいるちょっと小うるさい私の助手。
Oh.
変なこと言うのはやめてください、教授。
The audience chuckled. Sheesh.
さて、ここで私はしばらく通訳をお休みさせていただきます。これから私よりも優秀な通訳が登場します。これが私たちのチームが今最も力を入れている2つ目のプロジェクト、アマデウスシステムです。
When she finished speaking, Maho walked to the back of the stage. At Dr. Liskinen's signal, the PC screen was displayed on the projector. And then I heard a voice.
皆さん、初めてお目にかかります。
I love how it has a question mark at the end of Maho's name down there. Like, is that Maho too? The murmuring got louder than before, but it felt more uncertain than surprised. On the screen, I could see a detailed 3D model of Maho, the girl who had just been interpreting.
ちなみにこれは映画などで有名なドリンクワークススタジオに作成してもらったモデルです。
DreamWorks. Are you serious? Maho Hyajo chimed in from the back of the stage.
声については私のボイスサンプルをデータベースにして日本の山名が作ってくれました。
This was CG? Sure looked real to me. The professor said something into the laptop's microphone, and then the 3D model of Maho Hyajo. The screen opened its mouth.
私はヒヤジョをマホ正確に言うなら78時間22分前のヒヤジョをマホから派生した存在ということになります。
If you listened carefully, you might be able to hear something slightly off, but it sounded far more human than any artificial voice I'd ever heard.
先ほどから皆さんの質問を聞かせていただいていました。教授はどうして私を早く紹介しないのかととてももどかしく思っていましたよ。以前から感じていましたが、どうも教授は人が悪いようですね。 全くだわ。
The Maho Hyajo on the screen spoke with a slightly irritated expression, and the Maho Hyajo by the wall nodded in agreement. Dr. Liskinen simply smiled. What was going on here? What part of this was their biggest project? The rest of the audience didn't seem to have any more of a clue than I did.
皆さんの多くは疑問に思っています。人間の記憶をデータとして取り出したり、それを保存したり、さらにはそのデータを活用したり、そんなことが本当に可能なのかと。それでは私は一体何でしょうか。私は78時間23分前のヒア城真帆の脳内から取り出された記憶を持ち、そのデータをベースにして動いているのです。
What did she just say? The professor said something else in rapid English and asked the Maho on the screen to translate it. But she, if she was the right word, hesitated and went silent. I looked at the real Maho and she was responding exactly the same way.
教授、今のは。教授、今の発言はセクシャルハラスメントとして大学に訴えてもいいでしょうか。
Dr. Liskinen laughed cheerfully and responded to her. The conversation was in quick English, and over half the audience couldn't understand it. The real Maho sighed and took back the microphone.
教授はですね、私に対して、私の記憶で動作しているこのアマデウスに対して質問に答えてごらんと言いました。いつ頃までパパとお風呂に入っていたかとか、初恋はいつだったかとか、何でも答えられるだろうと。ああ、もうそれ以上通訳しなくていいわ。
Wow.
恥ずかしいからやめてくれないかしら。私はそういう質問には一切答えないわよ。
The professor said something else, and the Maho on the screen groaned and turned away.
クレジットカードの
He's having his fun. Look at the face! That smug grin.
あと1週間前に着ていたパジャマの色なんて覚えてるわけないです。
What was this? It was so natural I couldn't tell at first, but this was something unbelievable, wasn't it? Felt very different than a typical AI, I could tell that much. It wasn't answering the questions it was given, because they were embarrassing. Was it programmed to respond like that to certain questions? For the purposes of this demonstration, it was possible that's all it was, but that conversation wasn't programmed in advance. The rest of the crowd seemed to reach the same conclusion I did, and the whispers started to turn to surprise.
ちょっといい加減このいたずらな子供を何とかしてくれないかしら。何をしたいのか理解はできるけど、とにかく恥ずかしいわ。
The copy of Maho was complaining to the original. I felt like I was watching a pair of twin sisters talking.
いたずらな子供ではなく、レスキネン教授が面白がってなかなか説明してくれないので、代わりに私がお話しします。
Maho walked back to the professor.
皆さん、もうお分かりかと思いますが、アマデウスは自分が話していいこととそうでないこと、あるいは話したいことと話したくないことを自ら判断して喋っています。私たちはアマデウスにそういったプログラムを一切施していません。
I knew it.
彼女は与えられた私の記憶からそれを独自に判断し、自律的にそういう行動をとっているのです。
The Maho on screen suddenly took over for her.
そしてこれは先ほどの医療分野への応用とは方向性が真逆になってしまい、研究所内でもずっと議論が交わされていることですが、私 私は不必要な情報をいつの間にか忘れてしまう。というか、記憶の引き出しから出してこられなくなるのです。皆さんと同じようにです。例えば、1週間前に着ていたパジャマの色。確かにそれを知っていたはずなのに、今はそのような情報は生存していく上で
Ah, shit, I skipped an accent.
これも皆さんと同じです。このようにアマデウスは記憶のインプットやアウトプットが人間のそれと非常に近いのです。これは私たちも驚くべき結果として研究を重ねている最中で、まだ詳しくは解明されていません。
As Maho finished up, Dr. Liskinen took the microphone back. She resumed interpreting as he continued the lecture.
さらに私たちを驚かせたのは、アマデウスが意図して嘘をつくということ。何らかのトラブルやミスではなく、わざとそうするのです。嘘は人間が他人とコミュニケーションを取る上での一つの手法です。アマデウスもインプットされた記憶を自律的に検討し、必要であれば自分や他人のために平気で嘘をつきます。教授、誤解を招くような言い方はやめてください。嘘をつくのに平気なことなんてありません。私だって両親が咎めます。
Ooh. Dr. Liskinen cut off. He seemed to be hesitating. Maho didn't seem especially surprised by this. Maybe she knew the reason. But the moment passed, and the professor continued. And Maho translated his words like there was nothing shocking about them at all.
このような検証を続けていくことで、最終的に私たちはアマデウスに人間と同様の魂を宿すことができるのではないかと考えています。
I was stunned. A soul? Should one of the leading brain scientists in the world really be using a word with such a vague definition?
これこそ本当の意味での人工知能ということになります。
The whole hall got very quiet. And it was sheer chaos for a while after that, as everyone tried to debate their own personal theories with Dr. Liskinen at once. It was thanks to Izaki that I was able to get into the reception held after the ATF was over. You know what? I think that's a good place to stop. Hope you all enjoyed. And, leave a like, a comment, saying, if you guys would prefer any of the settings a different way. In the first episode, it had shown, like, you know, you can mess with certain characters' voices, so if any of you guys find a certain character you don't really want to hear, like, for some reason, I think all the voice actors are fine, personally. But, yeah, I can turn it off, and I could simply voice over that as well. It doesn't only have to be the, well, narration like this. But, yeah. So, with that, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll catch you on the next one. Well, actually, no, first I'm gonna save. Actually, I'm gonna make a whole nother one. Alright, now I'll catch y'all later. Do, 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 do.